All right, everyone, we are at the Bend Motorsport Park and we are taking the first, I think, filmed lap around the circuit that the Supercars will use next August, joined by Paul Trengrove, who's had a bit of a role in putting this all together. PT, we're going to go for a lap of this place. Let's have a look. Tell us about where we are now.
No worries. Well, we're sitting just on pit exit, really, so that's the pit building that you're looking at now. So we'll head off and we'll start the 1 kilometre straight and head towards turn 1, which is a set of corners up there that will provide plenty of passing, and viewing mounds on the left, which will be fantastic for grandstand viewing and all the action for the supercars.
So I suppose the biggest thing that's been raised on social media since the supercar round was launched is elevation change, and we're going to get to see some of that, but there's some serious flows at this place, isn't there?
Yeah, there really is. It's been designed as a fast flowing track with tight technical sections but very fast flowing corners as well that will no doubt test the bravest of drivers, that's for sure.
So pit exit?
Pit exit, coming into the braking zone up here, just on the work that's been done. You can see this hasn't been bitumised yet. That's probably the last part that will happen, is the pit straight. So plenty of trucks up on site at the moment, about 500 people on site, doing barriers, curbing, bitumen, irrigation, just everything happening at once. So yeah, this is turn 1, 15 metres wide all the way down the straight, and also the 15 metre width will carry through turns 1 and 2 and 3, providing plenty of passing throughout that first section of track, and heavily banked to the maximum of 5% for basically motorbikes and race cars. So this track will be an FIA, FIM spec track, which means both the bikes and the cars are at the highest homologation levels possible, except for Formula 1.
So you can see back down towards the straight. So there's even an elevation change at the top end of the straight there, isn't there, before you brake?
Yeah, there is. Right into the braking zone, there's a bit of the car will get a little light, and then you'll hit the brakes and gather it all up.
Oh look, bitumen.
Yes, here we are with the first part of the bitumen. Well, this is actually the primer, so this is right before they lay the bitumen, but as we come out of turn 3, you'll see the bitumen. But yeah, so this first section that the bikes and cars both use is all banked to a maximum of 5%. But once we sort of get away from that onto the section where the bikes won't be, we hit 10%, and the camber gets quite severe.
So even here at turn 3, you can see the camber down towards the apex. So that's really going to encourage people to have a proper go, isn't it?
Absolutely, and as I said, 15 metres wide through here, so super wide for someone to be able to make a passing move. Very fresh bitumen there, so I'm not going to drive on it, but we'll go around the service road here.
What in the circuits you've seen and you've raced as well would you equate this to?
It's a blend of a lot of tracks. It's definitely there's some Phillip Island elements to it.
Like this bit here.
Like this bit here.
It's got Phillip Island written all over it.
It does. It's very fast, very flowing. You know, medium speed to high speed corners, which really test a driver through a sort of 4th, 5th gear corner. But then we got the tight technical sections that might be a bit like the old Oran Park, with some of the dips and rises that we have as well. So yeah, quite a blend, but we've tried to base a lot of what we've done on the natural terrain that we have here, and then we've tried to create some of our own, and get some European flavour through it as well.
Just talk us through this little shortcut here.
Yeah, so this is a little sort of 300 metre shortcut section, which is another configuration that can be used by probably more club events and also for driver training. So instead of having a fast flowing section after the long 1 kilometre straight that we just had, that twists it up and a lot of little second gear corners in there.
And again, this is all in sight of the pit building, so there's going to be amazing viewing over there of this whole section.
Yeah, and the pit building you'll notice is on the outside of the track, which these days is quite rare. Usually they're now built on the inside, such as your Phillip Island and Eastern Creeks and a lot of European tracks. The best part about it is the viewing that will give all of the spectators, whether they're in corporate or standing on a viewing platform for the public that will be up there. Great viewing.
So this looks reasonably quick to me.
Yeah, this is definitely fifth and then down into sixth gear even as they approach a very tight second gear corner down the bottom here. Again, we've opened the track up to 15 metres wide once they get down the bottom to really encourage passing. So I think this will definitely be a section that you'll see a lot of action.
So you can see the scope of this place is enormous.
So downhill and under brakes, you can see a section of track going straight. That's for a shorter configuration, which will lead back up towards the pit straight. But this is the international circuit, which Supercars will be running on in August. So we have a 180-degree left-hander here, off camber on the way in and positive on the way out, giving them good drive as they then climb up this hill towards another fast section of the track.
So there's so much to this. It's got a bit of a Eastern Creek vibe about it in the flow. So that turn 4, 5, 6 complex around the back of Corporate Hill there, where it's all quite flowing, 4th gear, 5th gear, really got to flow the car. It strikes me a lot of it's a bit like that, but also, I mean, it's Phillip Island, isn't it, in a lot of it?
Absolutely. So just as I said, it was very important to the directors that when we were designing the track, it had elements of flow and also bravery. So you can see here, turn 8 and 9 down the hill, 4th gear, probably 170, 180. And then you'll see, again, the track goes in two directions. So straight and to the left is the long GT track, 7.7 kilometres, but the Supercars, which is what we're doing now, is to the right. So they've gone through that fast right-hander just there. They'll then hit another fast right-hander here, and then it turns into another fast right through turn 10. So extremely quick, and it'll be hard on the cars and the tyres as well. A lot of loading on the left-hand side of the car.
And this has got the potential to be probably one of the iconic bits of this circuit, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. It does, and you know, fast flowing and just so much bravery required through here. I can see cars running wide here and having to gather it up for the next section, but the next section you need to have not sacrificed, I suppose. Too much speed will be lost if you run wide here. So yeah.
And we went round before filming this, and the thing that noticed to me was that there's a lot of compression. So you come out of a corner, the road compresses down and then rises up again quickly.
Yeah, we've tried to make sure that it's not just a test on the driver, but also on your setup of your car. So it'll probably be an engineer's worst nightmare, to be honest. But yeah, certainly having the right suspension and shock setups will certainly be critical to getting a quick lap around here.
And the tarmac will be a lot smoother than my camera work, I can guarantee that.
Absolutely. So in here, a fast left-hand corner, just off the back of what we've gone through there, and then heavy on the brakes for a tight type of right corner here. Not too much camber on this one. We didn't want to put full camber on every corner. So this one here really just to wind you back around onto the faster sections again.
And we'll get an opportunity in a minute. I can show you out that window there. There's the pit building off in the distance. So again, great viewing from there all the way across the other side of the racetrack, which will be great for those watching from up there.
So another section of track coming back onto this track, so that's where the GT track will bring itself back onto the main racetrack here. So yeah, that's where it joins, and we've got to be careful with this sort of thing because you can't have one track joining in one camber direction and then the angles change. So a lot of the join areas had to be quite flat and required a lot of thinking to make sure that worked. But back onto the supercar track, once we've come through those corners, we lead up to what's going to be one of our iconic corners, I believe. It's an uphill blind braking corner. You cannot see the exit, and I think this will be one for the brave for sure.
So you can see with the pit building over there, the elevation change from where we started. So we're probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 metres
yeah, that's right.
down.
We're about 12, 15 metres down from where we started.
You can see the elevation here is awesome.
Yeah, to that.
This is going to be a great corner.
So that is very late braking through there. Huge banking, lots of elevation change through here. Very fast corner, plenty of grip on the car through there. You can still get it wrong, obviously. You can get too greedy and it'll be a bit of a wild ride if you get it wrong, but yeah, it'll give plenty of satisfaction if you get that one right.
It strikes me that there's been a good balance struck between making a brilliant driver's track, but something that punters will be able to come and watch and actually see a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, and also we've been very careful to think through, if you have a brave section or a testing section on a driver and on a car, it's important that after that section there's a tight braking corner to allow someone to pass after to basically reward their driving through the previous corner. So we see a lot of tracks might have a great fast section, but then they still can't get past because the next bit might be fast. So that section there, if you can get that right, you'll be rewarded by this section here, which is a second gear corner, heavy on the brakes. And on our left we have viewing mounts right there so that they can watch all that action. But they get basically 180-degree views from that viewing mount as this corner here winds around them. So a lot of the driving is being thought of, but so has the spectator experience as well.
So directly in front of us, this area is the hotel.
Yep, so that's the two-storey hotel that you can see on the basically our right, and that has 100 rooms, and most of those rooms, as you can see, have a balcony on the front, allowing them to look over pit lane and the majority of the track.
And then to the left, our left of that, is race control, corporate suites, and the rest, so the start of pit lane.
And I imagine where you'll be spending a bit of your time in
Yes,
the commentary area there.
We'll try to.
And corporate when you can.
This is a great bit of road as well. And we should emphasise, and the camera will flatten it out, but the elevation's quite significant, and this reminds me of probably the run over the hill at Eastern Creek down into turn 4, so that kind of dip off the top there and the compression then into the right-hander at the bottom of that, and this is very much the same, but this strikes me as perhaps the best overtaking opportunity on the track outside of turn 1.
Absolutely. This is the penultimate corner. Again, a very fast technical section there where you can really gain on somebody through that, and if you get it right, you'll have a great opportunity to sort of dive bomb them under brakes into what is a very tight second gear and even first gear turn penultimate corner here.
Walls going in.
So that's the slip form barriers going in over there. So the slip form barrier setup, that does 180 metres of concrete barrier a day, which is super impressive.
So they'll be a long way down here by the end of today.
By the end of today, yeah, they expect to have most of that section finished, and then most of the barriers are in. We've really only got the pit wall to go, and just a couple other areas, so it's moving fast.
So this penultimate corner, there'll be a grandstand on the outside, I believe?
Yep, so for Supercars, grandstand on the outside of this corner where there'll be plenty of passing, and not only can you see them come from down the straight there, actually if I angle the car around like this, you'll see them flying down the dip, under brakes through there, and then through this corner here towards the final corner of the circuit, so some great viewing there.
Opportunity for all sorts of mischief to go on into that corner, I reckon. The final few laps of a race. Hail Mary down the inside, got a bit of room to pull it up if you don't quite get it right.
Absolutely, and this is the final corner, heavily banked corner again. It's probably a third gear corner, and basically the idea here was to give drivers and the cars as much speed onto the straight as possible so they can hit Supercar probably 270 by the time it gets to the end of the straight.
So a bit like turn 12 at Phillip Island coming onto Gardner Straight.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of banking, and there's the pit building there. We should mention over to our left, just behind us, is where the drift circuit and go-kart track will be. And this is the view up the straight, that pit building. Well, that's amazing, Paul. Thank you very much. It's going to be absolutely epic. Now, people can go to the Bend website, can't they, to get in the grandstand ticket ballot?
Yeah, so thebend.com.au, head to the events section and you'll see the Supercars event and a grandstand ballot, which basically guarantees your ticket, but we haven't yet got the seat plan sorted, but once we do, you can select your seat and come along in August.